Welcome to Empowering Xchanges, Tuesday Toast to Transformation.
Hey EmpowerX community, Serena
And Sarah here.
your hosts on this exciting journey of conversations for and by women. Join us every Tuesday as we uncork the wisdom, share the challenges, and celebrate the victories that make us who we are.
From navigating career highs
To embracing the quirks of life, we're here for it all.
let's raise a toast to transformation, sisterhood, and building a brighter future together. Pour your favorite beverage, tune in, and let's dive into the heart-to-heart talks that empower us all.
Cheers!
Cheers!
All right, cheers!
Cheers.
Gonna take a drink before we even start.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Okay, so as you mentioned before, while we were making the cocktail, we are going to be talking about the unseen workload that women have.
Yes.
From unpaid labor to time poverty to just gender biases. All of those fun topics to talk about.
20 minutes maybe short.
Yeah,
we'll do our best.
We're going to try to sum it up and then maybe we'll do different ones.
We'll pack it later.
Yeah. So you want to just start with unpaid labor?
Woo!
I know. Right.
One more.
Yeah. To fortify yourself.
I can tell you where I saw it starting. First, let me premise this with, I love my dad dearly.
I think you're going to say I love my husband. I'm probably going to also
But I'm going to go way back.
Yeah.
In the generation that I think a lot of us were raised, well, I was raised in, I can't speak for the entire audience, but we're the stay-at-home moms.
Mm-hmm.
And the job was to essentially be on call 24/7.
Yeah.
All day long. Everything needed to be kept up. Kids needed to be kept alive.
Mm-hmm.
And even in the off hours, there were still things to tend to.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of my strength and resiliency comes from seeing my mom juggle so many things.
Yeah.
And making it seem easy. However, now
it was not.
It was not. Mixed with that, that when my youngest sibling was old enough to go into school, she then decided to actually go back into the workforce. She taught herself, learned nursing, got into that, was taking care of the elderly and all of that. And not only, good God, was she a superwoman, but then to take that on at a different stage of life, to go back and like relearn or learn new things, be able to help support your family and all of that is amazing to me. But I think what we didn't talk about was the mental toll that it took on her to be able to do that. Because when she went back to work, it was still expected, whether, unconsciously or not, that she would still maintain the household too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that even is gender biases too. It's just these expectations that we have on ourselves. I don't know if you saw this while you were growing up, but I saw this in, not only my own father, but so many other fathers at that time period about how they treated their wives very differently than they had expectations for their daughters. My dad and even my grandfather told me I could do anything. Like I could be a CEO, I could be a doctor, I could be whatever I wanted. And they expected me to do well. They knew that I was going to do these things. But at home, it was very different. It was what I want my wife to be is different. And granted, my mom is very different from I am. But she had, she loved kids. She took care of kids. She had a home daycare and she did everything else too. It wasn't that she didn't have a job. It was that there was these expectations that she had all of this other stuff to do. And I get now, while she's older, she's just like, let's go out to eat. Which, I get. Like, you have all of those expectations for years, for decades. You just get burnt out.
You think?
Yeah.
But as we are going to talk about, I think, in a later episode, burnout doesn't just get solved with one spa day.
No. It takes
years of doing, takes years of undoing.
Yeah. But it's not just at home. We know that our parents were different. I think we are now different in doing things, but I think I fall in that trap too. It's I think that I need to do all of these things.
Right.
I think I need to take care of all of these things in the house, and I don't. I can get help. I have a partner. I have a spouse. And yes, he's more mechanically inclined, so he does those types of things. But it doesn't mean that we don't both live in this house, that we both don't have responsibilities. But when you grow up in this generation that all of the household chores are done by you, not just my mom, my mother-in-law expects these things. I think I'm confusing to them too, because
absolutely.
I don't do all of these things. I have very different careers. I have a very different lifestyle.
Think about commercially, the way that growing up toys were presented to us.
Oh, yeah.
Girls versus boys.
Yep.
And the types of toys that girls played with versus the types of toys the boys played with. And, there was always the kitchenette or
baby dolls.
And exactly. And the boys were always trucks and G.I. Joes and wrestling figures and all of that. It's hard to, I think, sometimes see those things now for something different.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, and I will admit, even, being a young mom myself, I heard my first when I was 25. I took it all on because that's what I had seen. Yeah. And that's, what my husband had seen when he grew up.
At the beginning, you don't think that there is another way. You believe that you not only now have to have a very demanding career, but you also have to be this, Instagram, Pinterest mom where they do all of these, crazy things. Or even just a wife, we'll talk in the next episode about motherhood and otherhood, but there's all of these expectations that you make Christmas amazing, that you do all of these things, that you hand make everything, that you hand make everything, all this crazy expectations, and you have that, and then at work you have these expectations that, well, now since you're the only female, you're going to do your job and you're going to plan all the events, you're going to be the heart and soul, essentially, of the company. You're going to take the meeting notes. You're going to make sure that action items were taken care of, that things have been... You're going to set the meetings. Yeah. You're going to... all of those things. That you are that person. And a lot of times, we take on these things willingly and then don't realize how much... Oh my gosh. It ends up eating up so much of your time and energy for the day. Yeah. But at the same time, a lot of times we take these things on. Think about our last job where we were together. We took these things on because if we didn't, who was going to? Nobody else will. Nobody else will. And even when we stopped sometimes, nobody stepped up. Right. Nobody took on these roles. So we felt that they were still important to do, to care, like our last episode, to actually have the empathy, to care about people. Right. So I think we've talked about this too. It's when you have all these expectations on both your home life and career life, how do you even stop? How do you stop that vicious cycle? I don't have all the answers. Oh, no. I will tell you something that I recently started doing, and I'm not joking, it's recent, last, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah. Because it's really hard to unlearn something when you're at this age and retrain yourself. Mm-hmm. However, I have tiny humans at home. 2 older boys that are coming into their teenage years, and I would really like them to break the cycle and to see women as equals and partners, and should they choose to get married, an actual partnership, or if they don't even have, a significant other of some sort, that it's a true partnership. It's not one person has to do this because they're female versus male. And so I started teaching them, we're still working on it. We're nowhere near perfect yet. But I started teaching them the idea of, when I ask you to do something, you do it from start to finish. Mm-hmm. Start to finish means you think of all the little things that happen in between there to make it happen. It means remembering the thing that I told you about. It means executing on it. It means cleaning up or doing whatever it is afterwards. The best example that comes to the top of my head is taking out the trash. Yeah. Okay. Happens every week. Should be a no-brainer. I have an alarm on my phone. I have a calendar reminder too. Exactly. Yeah.
Typically speaking, I've had to, I keep that reminder on my phone. No one else has it. So I will have to say, hey, tonight is trash night, don't forget.
I put it on Mike's calendar too.
So we both share it. I will usually have to leave one of the lights on so that it's a reminder of like, oh yeah, I need to do
go
something. Yes. I will pack up all of the recyclables, put them in the bin. I will get all the trash. I don't always put it in the bag itself, but I'll pull it towards the counter, towards the bag, so it's right together. So when we pull the trash, it means we pull the trash, we pull all of the stuff from the counter into the trash, we take it out, we take the bins out, we come back, we put a new trash bag in the trash can, put the lid on it, turn the light off, lock the doors, like start to finish. Yeah. No steps left undone.
But even think about how much you still have to prepare for that, too. Right. And like those are the things that we still do that I think we don't realize how much of an impact that is. Yes. Sometimes, God bless Mike, I'm sure you probably will watch this he gets home or we're talking and he's like, what do you want to eat? And I'm like, I don't care.
Oh yeah.
There are things maybe I don't want to eat, but you know what I like. You know these things. Just please make a decision because I've had to make probably 100 times more decisions than you have today.
Decision fatigue is for real.
Oh yeah. And I mean, it's all of these things that we are constantly doing and it's hard to let go of them. Mm-hmm. Like one of the things, it's just stupid small stuff though. Yeah. Where you have to realize at some point you cannot do it all.
Right.
And I realized then if it doesn't get done, it doesn't get done. Mm. Like this year.
Ooh, it's hard to let go.
I know. It absolutely is. This year I was doing, all of this stuff and making all the cookies and doing all that stuff for Christmas. And I just decided not to put up a Christmas tree. Mm. I hated it. But we have this giant 12-foot tree and it's just a hassle to pull down, a hassle to pull back up. I decorated everything else, but I just was like, that is just too much. I can't do it on my own. Yeah. I can't wrangle all of this. I'm going to be hot and sweaty. I'm already hot and sweaty. It's okay. It is okay to not have something up. But I thought about it.
Oh, yeah.
All season.
Oh, yeah. I totally get that.
Yeah. But we've had to do that at our last job, too. Yes. Where we've, at some point...
You're constantly anticipating the needs of others.
Everyone else.
Yes.
And it's so exhausting. We even... you even talked about how when we were trying this employee engagement thing...
Yeah.
About how we can actually, when people are doing... their annual reviews, how we can actually reward people for being part of these different clubs, activities, like
going outside of their normal
day-to-day job.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because it's so easily forgotten. Even from our own personal standpoint, it's even assumed in our own minds.
Yeah,
that why would that need to be brought up? Yeah.
It's not even part of our job, so why am I going to bring that up as things I've accomplished this year? But you just do it on top of everything else.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot. Another trick.
I know. That's why I was just like, oh my goodness. But, I think too, that goes to the unpaid labor and then also the gender biases because so many times we're working in these male-dominated fields where they do not think about these things at all.
No, because they're still part of the generation that is trying to break the cycle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think certainly as we continue to talk about allyships and the certain men that are out there that get it and that are trying to help us move forward, there's so much more that needs to be done on that front.
Oh, yeah.
And we have to be willing to say no. Mm-hmm. Period.
That's I think the hardest part is saying no and feeling like you're not doing enough. That definitely goes to like your own feelings of inadequacy.
Yep.
And then we'll talk about imposter syndrome and all of that kind of stuff too. But it is really hard to tell yourself no and to allow yourself that grace that you would give anyone else.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I know that this has been a topic in of itself since COVID, but that no is a complete sentence. No, period.
Yep.
I don't need to
explain it. You don't have to
qualify it. Yep.
Nothing.
I'm just not going to. And I think all of this comes down to setting better boundaries. Mm-hmm. And in order to break the cycle, we have to be willing to set our boundaries and hold true to them. And it has taken me 38 years to figure that out.
Oh, yeah.
39 years.
Yeah.
And I'm still working on it on a daily basis. But my idea of, like, I have been burnt out multiple times. I don't want to keep feeling that way.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel like I'm no longer myself because I've given myself to others and to others' causes.
Yeah.
And that I've lost my sparkle or dulled myself to get there.
I mean, we had that issue with our last show that we were in, where we were just so exhausted. We weren't ourselves. We weren't our sparkle, you know, and it has taken me, I mean, I was physically being sick. My stomach was hurting. Yeah. I mean, everything. Yeah. There's so many things that were wrong. And it's taken me, 5 months to actually feel normal.
Right.
Again, I feel good. I feel happy.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how bad it was until I stopped. Yeah. I just stopped. And you just have to think about yourself. And you also realize, I think, if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone else around you.
Yeah.
And that caregiver thing, I think, will happen no matter what.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
think you know, and I'm so excited about kind of like this Gen Z where they're actually realizing that they can say no. That if things don't make them happy, they can walk away, and that is powerful. That is really life-changing. Yeah. And we're like the generation where we're just like, I've just got you. I just have to.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Yes. But yeah, there's still time for us to change that and to do it ourselves.
Yeah. And to see the younger generation inspiring us. I think, you know, like that, especially in that, where they're realizing that they don't have to.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you brought up the Christmas tree thing and it made me
Did you get hives?
I did a little bit because I miss Christmas. I love all things Christmas and have outfits for every day and whatnot. But and normally, you know, we are the ones that will put the Christmas lights up right before Thanksgiving. We won't light them, but they will be up.
It's a little warmer.
Ready to go.
Yeah.
But this year I didn't help at all. My husband did them all outside, and we were driving home the other night, and he goes, "You know, if it wasn't for me, these lights wouldn't be up at all this year." And I'm like, "You're right. You're absolutely right." And he's like, "Well, what's going on? Like that used to be one of your things that you wanted to do and make sure it was done." I'm like, I did not realize how burnt out I was.
Yeah.
And it is taking me things that brought me joy. It's still taking me time to get back to the point where I am absorbing those things that bring me joy and that I don't feel exhausted to where I just don't care.
Yeah.
And I truly wish that we can help other women realize that before they get to this point.
Yeah. You know, we'll talk about burnout in another episode, but I think a lot of it is because of the things that we're talking about. All of this unseen workload that we have to deal with. You have so many expectations on yourself on what you have to do at home, what you have to do at work, and you just keep doing it. But how can we do a better job of saying no? And I think a lot of it is practice. You know, it's the only thing that will work. You know, even this kind of goes back to some other skills that you have to practice. I had to practice being open and honest with having hard conversations.
Yeah.
You know, but now that I've just been doing it since probably like a year or two into my career, now I'm that person. Now I'm that blunt and open, honest person.
Yeah.
And it just is. But you have to take that first step of saying no one time, 2 times. And then eventually it will become a habit.
It gets easier.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's so hard. It's so hard when we're shoved with these images of perfection.
Right.
Not just on our body, but like how we have to behave and how we should be this rock star at work and at home. And it's too much.
It is. It absolutely is.
Take another sip.
Yep.
This is why we did espresso martini.
We needed that energy.
Yeah.
So I guess, first and foremost, I want to say you're doing a fantastic job.
Yes.
Take a deep breath. It's going to get better. But we, together, supporting each other, can make this easier. And we can help each other realize when we're doing too much and when we should stop and take a break and pause and put ourselves first for crying out loud.
I mean, that brings up a really good point. We talked about this too, about having an accountability partner.
Yes, yeah.
You know, I think if we can empower each other and if we can help each other, I think that's the way to break some of this stuff, because sometimes it's so hard to say no ourselves, but if you bounce it off somebody else, they're like, what's the problem? You know, what are you doing? Stop! Why is it a big deal? Stop it! You know, and checking in with our friends and asking them, you know, and I could do definitely a better job of checking in with all of my female friends and just being like, you can stop today. you can just not. But I think sometimes we don't want to admit that to each other. It's hard to admit our flaws, even to friends. Yeah. But you know, maybe find that one friend who you know you can be open and honest with. Yeah. And
there are certain people you know you're not going to be able to trust with these types of feelings and thoughts, but there are people that will absolutely listen and push you in the right direction.
Yep. Yeah. And
if not, you have a cocktail at 11 a.m.
Yes. Yeah. And if not, then we can help you. Yes, reach out to us. We'll have that conversation with you.
That's right.
Because we have realized it's just not worth it to be unhappy.
It's not sustainable. And not every day is promised. So why are we giving so much of ourselves to others who don't care the same about us?
Yeah. And especially to a job that's not going to love us back. You know, taking on all of this extra work and working multiple extra hours.
Yeah.
You know, I think that we think, especially because we talked before about how women are only promoted based off of the things they've accomplished. We take on too much because of that, because we want to prove ourselves. But at some point, I don't think it really is proving ourselves.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I mean, a lot of people don't notice the extra things that we're doing. The people below us oftentimes do, and they really appreciate it. But if
it won't be until you leave
that they realize how much you were doing.
Yeah,
100%. So, you know, don't kill yourself.
Mm-mm.
Make sure that you are taking care of yourself first and foremost. You cannot take care of others without taking care of yourself.
Yes.
And that is very hard to remember and implement, but it is 100% true.
And when we say take care of ourselves, I think this is another topic that we're going to dive into a little bit deeper, but it's the well-being in general is not just one small piece of you. Mm-hmm. Well-being is the whole person. It's making sure that you're happy in your career, in your financials, in your emotionals, your physical, your social, all of the things that make you who you are. You have to pay attention to each one of those little buckets.
Yeah.
And you have to pour into each one of those. Or you're going to continue to feel depressed and deflated about just different things. So that's one of the ways that we're trying to bring Empower X to our lives, is to not only empower us in our day-to-day lives, but also in the areas that complete us.
Yep.
And so I think there's so much more that we could dive into on this subject. But I think first and foremost, we just have to remember that we are one person. We do not have to be 6 different people.
Yeah.
We are one person. And we're taking on a lot as it is already. And if those things make you happy, fantastic.
Yes.
But if they're not,
say no.
Say no.
Maybe that should be a challenge, too.
Yeah.
We should have a say no challenge. How many times can you say no?
Yeah.
Especially to the things that you know are just not going to make you happy.
Yeah. Those things that are not serving you and are not serving your joy and happiness and your goals and dreams.
Yeah.
Are they even important enough to do then?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and we talked about male bosses. We talked about male partners. I think not always, not always do they understand.
Yes.
Or realize what is going on. And some of the things that we don't do a good job of, I know I haven't done a good job of sometimes, is explaining it.
Oh yeah.
Telling them. You know, if you are taking that step back and you're just upset about all of the things that you're doing, but you're not realizing sometimes I need to explain it. Yeah. Not everybody will listen, right? There are many people who just think you're ridiculous. But if they are an ally and they are a good person, I think they will listen and understand and try to do things differently. I mean, just like in our careers and in our friendships and in our relationships, if somebody doesn't tell us they're unhappy with us, how can we fix it?
Right. Yeah, we have to stop internalizing those things and be vocal about them, for sure.
Yeah, and that is, again, hard. Saying no is hard. Being vocal about what you want is hard.
Yeah.
And some of it is relearning how to take care of yourself and how to do things differently.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Well.
All right. Well, we did our best to dive in, but also stay a little above water floating.
Yeah. So, and not get super depressed.
Right. We would love to hear your thoughts and questions and comments and tips and tricks, if you have them, as to how you're saying no and how you're keeping your boundaries and creating space in your life for you and what makes you happy. So,
and remember, you're not alone in this journey. We will always be here to help. Also, you have friends, you have family. There are people you could try to talk to, I think. And if not, we can be your friends.
Right. Absolutely. Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Well, that's a wrap on another episode of Empowering Exchanges. We hope you enjoyed this chat and would love to hear your suggestions for additional topics on challenges, triumphs, and the laughter that bonds us together.
Don't forget to hit subscribe, share the love, and join us next Tuesday for another dose of wisdom, wit, and warmth. Keep shining, keep thriving, and keep toasting to the incredible journey of womanhood.
Until next time, cheers.
Cheers.